Hello everyone, welcome, my name is Phoenix and this is the Consumer's Guide to Filmmaking. Nirvana, the band, the show, the movie. 2026, Matt Johnson. Following the exploits of a pair of goofballs by the name of Matt and Jay, these two are looking to get their band booked at the Rivoli in Toronto. Their first scheme involves jumping from the CN Tower into the Rogers Centre, but that fails miserably and they end up stranded on the roof of the Rogers Centre. While Jay is dejected and is looking for a way out, Matt hatches another scheme. Travel back in time to 2008 and use that as a means of garnering buzz to get booked. However, Matt and Jay did not account for one thing: actually traveling back in time to 2008. Now stranded in the past, Matt and Jay must find a way back to the present so they can get their band booked. Canada's own Matt Johnson has outdone himself with this film. What a wild and ridiculous little comedy. If you're unfamiliar with Nirvana the band, the show, Matt Johnson and Jay McCarroll essentially do things similar to Eric Andre in his show and his film Bad Trip. Matt and Jay are going out in public and messing with people and improvising bits. But I think the key difference between Nirvana the band, the show, and a film like Bad Trip is that Matt and Jay are constructing a story and letting the public comedy worm its way into the film, whereas Eric Andre is focusing primarily on the set pieces. The latter, Bad Trip, bothered me because it was presenting it as raw, but you could tell people were in on the bit because legally, the people had to be in on it for some of them. The former, Nirvana the band, the show, the movie, never bothered me because, as I said, Matt and Jay were focusing on a story, but used the bystanders that weren't completely in on the bit to their advantage. The result is something that, while it has the story structure of a typical comedy, it boasts bits that could only be created through organic interaction with people. The entire bit at Canadian Tire was comedy gold simply because that employee had no idea a movie was being made. But that isn't to say Matt and Jay aren't great comedy writers, because these two know how to write solid traditional comedy bits. The bit where Matt realizes he's in 2008 because people were laughing at the paging doctor... I'm not saying the word. Anyways, yeah, you know the bit. That line from The Hangover? That was incredible. The fourth wall breaks throughout the film were really clever. I especially loved the one about how they were pretending to be in 2008 because of how, subtly it was worded. Add to that, this film is full of Canadian references that only someone who has lived in Canada their whole life, like me, would even understand or find funny. Who the fuck outside of Canada, maybe the UK, knows what fucking orbits is? No one outside of Toronto really watches CP24, so that was a fun piece of set dressing. Also, name-dropping Jan Gameshi in the year of our Lord 2026 was wild work. These guys just revel in the setting and love using this city they live in to its fullest potential. The script also, impressively, has a strong emotional core. Again, it's a typical sort of comedy in that we see a pair of friends falling out only for one of them to realize that their friendship was the most important thing they had. Matt sacrificing himself at the end was legitimately gripping in how it was presented. This typical comedy structure is made all the more engaging though by the performances of director Matt Johnson and co-writer and composer Jay McCarroll. These two are just having a fucking ball with this material, and these two love going out and fucking with people. The emotional moments work so well because they are just amping themselves up to 11 and it comes off as so natural. Turning our attention to Matt and Jay as pure filmmakers, it is honest to God impressive how they pulled this film off. Working with a relatively modest budget of $5 million, Matt and Jay used that money to its fullest effect. The special effects, production design, and editing for a film of this scale are legitimately above and beyond most big-budget movies. All the bits with them seeing themselves in the past were fucking incredible in terms of how they stitched together footage and recreated the period when they were filmed. All the CN Tower bits while maybe some of that footage was CGI, I am legitimately curious how much of that footage was actually shot at the top of the CN Tower, or how long it took to construct that set. The audio in the film was great. The sound design during some of these sections was legit cool. I loved the bit when they were skydiving from the CN Tower, and the audio was cutting out and peaking the mic hard. I also loved those flashback sequences where they were obviously overly long as a joke, so they did it in black and white and pitched and slowed things down. Like, that was hilarious. But a big part of this film was the music, and Jay McCarroll's work on this film was great. The few original pieces we get throughout the film work for the moments we get them in. They're typical of a comedy, but McCarroll really put a ton of effort into their arrangement. But the soundtrack for the film was banging. It's lots of rock music, lots of singer-songwriter stuff. It's what you would expect from a pair of, millennial guys like Matt and Jay. Seriously, you should really give these guys some love, and try to find a way to see Nirvana, the band, the show, the movie in theaters. Matt Johnson and Jay McCarroll made a ridiculously funny and incredibly made comedy film that has heart and clear passion behind it. They took that typical story formula for a comedy and injected creative gags, trolling people, and two standout performances from Matt and Jay into the affair. Matt Johnson's best movie by a country mile, and a lock for my top 10 of 2026. Highly recommended. And I am feeling a 9.5 out of 10 on this one. Such a fun movie. Find a way to see it. Catch you later, guys.